learning styles, and she is currently doing research on anxiety in language learning of students from different backgrounds and a study on stakeholders' needs analysis for curriculum development. Now, I will let our moderator resume the session. Would you please, everyone, welcome Miss Vimonrat?
Okay. Thank you, Dr. Yusuf, for nice introduction. I'm Wimarat Ratanaya, and I am here to be a moderator to lead the session today. So welcome everyone to PSU Open Mobility 2021 for virtual exchange program today. And on the topic of intercultural communication between students of English as a foreign language in Mexico and Thailand. So please allow me to introduce the speaker today, Mr. Armando Perez Morfin. Mr. Armando Perez Morfin has worked as a full-time teacher researcher at Universidad de Quintana Roo since 2001, and his lectures include modules like teaching practice, intercultural communication in English, English Spanish translation, and English language. His research interests include English teaching, English Spanish translation, and English language ideologies. So, regarding the topic today, as we know, intercultural communication plays a crucial role in language teaching and learning because it refers to the communication between people from two different cultures. So, for webinar today, the speaker will discuss the situation of intercultural communication between students from two countries, as the topic show today, from Mexico and Thailand. So, before I give the floor to Mr. Armando, may I inform you a bit about the sequence of the program for today's session? During the lecture, if you have any questions, you can just type them in the chat box, or you may keep the questions and ask the speaker directly in the Q&A session at the end of the lecture. Then, after the Q&A, you will be asked to fill the two forms. This is very important. You have two forms to fill. First, the evaluation form, and the second one, the certification form. Don't worry, I will remind you later, okay? And now, it's time to start the lecture. I'd like to invite Mr. Armando to give a lecture on intercultural communication between students of English as a foreign language in Mexico and Thailand. So please welcome Mr. Armando. Yes,
Thank you. Thank you very much for
thank
this
you.
presentation, and thank you to the moderator, Will Monrad. Thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be with you all, guys. I would like to start by thanking, give a big thank you to Prince of Songkla University, the Faculty of Humanities and Social Sciences as well, and of course all the staff involved in the process of having these webinars and seminar series. I'm really thankful for all this great opportunity to be with you from Mexico. Thank you, Dr. Yusuf Mansuk, for this kind invitation you gave us. And as the presenter was telling you, I am going to share some ideas related to intercultural communication, and it's very good that we are going to have the opportunity to interact a little bit with the students in Thailand, and we have here some students from Mexico, and we will see how intercultural communication may take place in this virtual room today, and we will realize, and we are going to analyze how it works to communicate two cultures which are really far away from each other, but probably at the same time we will discover that we have lots of commonalities in terms of communication. But I would like to start also by explaining you, by giving you some information regarding what intercultural communication is and everything. But I would like to share with you this presentation I have with you today. And can you see something? Can you give me some feedback if you can see something, please? Yes, very good. Very
Yes.
good.
Yes,
Thank
very
you,
clear.
Ms. Rab, and thank you, Will Monrad. Thank you,
Yes.
Dr. Yusuf. And Well, the topic of today is intercultural communication between students of English as a foreign language in Mexico and Thailand. And I'm really happy that some of my students are connected, and I'm really happy also that some of your students may be connected. I will find out later on who is a student in Thailand and recognize them to probably ask them to participate in one little activity I have for you. So thank you all for being here. What we are going to do today is let's say, these aspects that I would like to talk about. The outline is, the first thing we are going to do is defining intercultural communication. What is this thing called intercultural communication? Then we are going to discuss a little bit some aspects to consider in intercultural communication. Then we are going to go a little bit into practice, because we are going to exemplify how students can face or could face intercultural communication. And after that, we are going to talk about the importance of awareness in intercultural communication. Then we will be able to give some conclusion about this talk, and we are going to exchange some of your points of view about all the things that we are going to talk about during the session. And finally, I will show you some references that I have for this presentation. So let's start with the first thing, which is defining intercultural communication. And that I have a question for you, but I would like to tell you, or I would like to ask you to try to give me some, let's say, feedback to the questions I may be giving to you, and raise your hand if you would like to participate, or if you would like, just open your microphone and give me your ideas or the information you may would like to share with us about the different questions, or about the different things that I'm going to be asking you, okay? Don't worry if you are a very, very elementary student of English, or if you are an intermediate student of English, or if you are a really advanced student of English, don't worry. Just give us your ideas. That's what we would like, or yes, we would like you to do today. To feel free to give us your opinions or your understanding of some of the concepts that we are going to analyze. So what do you understand by intercultural communication? I don't know if you have any ideas what is this of intercultural communication, or what comes to your mind when you listen or you hear this concept of intercultural communication. Any volunteers? Let me see who is connected. I have seen that we have kind of some very good quantity of students connected and people connected. Sorry about that. And I have some students from Mexico too. So anyone can give us a general idea of what's intercultural communication, or what have you heard about intercultural communication? Volunteers? Or if you would like, you can write down in the chat box, and then I can read whatever. What comes to your mind when I say intercultural communication? Okay.
Can I be your student today?
Yes, please. Yes, please.
Yes, I would like to try first. Maybe I'm right or wrong. It's okay, right?
That's
I think,
fine.
yes, intercultural communication is talking about the communication between people from different cultures, right? This is from my
Yes.
understanding. Yes.
Yes. Thank you very much for that very good idea, Wilman Rat. You are an expert. Yes. And somebody else, anybody
Maybe,
else, like?
maybe some good examples based on Ajahn Raymond Rat mentioned is maybe what we are talking at the moment. You are from Mexico and we are from Thailand, and we are talking with some others, some other participants from different countries. So it's mean like we have different cultures, in terms of language, in terms of belief. So when we communicate with someone who have different cultural backgrounds, so we have to aware, the importance of how those cultures are different, and how those differences may impact, during the communication process between, among the participants, among the interlocutors. Yep.
Yes, very, very well done. Yes, all these ideas that you are explaining are totally true. That's what it is, intercultural communication in this way you have explained it. And everything that makes different to different people, different societies, is part of their culture. And right now, as our participants, they were saying, because we are just interacting different cultures, the Mexican culture and the Thailand culture, there is the process of intercultural communication, and it's extremely important, for example, to recognize this concept in English language learning, for example, because in real life, in real communication, you are going to communicate with different cultures. Some people may think that if they learn English, they will communicate with very specific kind of cultures, or very focalized kinds of cultures. But in reality, with the help of English, we can communicate with lots and lots of cultures all around the world. So understanding this concept of, or this idea of intercultural communication is extremely important in many ways in communication, but very important in the process, or in the idea of language learning or language communication. And in this case, using English, English can just help us to communicate with people from many different cultures, because it's a English is the lingua franca right now. It's the international language, and it's used to communicate with cultures totally differently, very different cultures, like yours and in Thailand and the one here in Mexico. But let me give you a quick definition. Intercultural communication is the understanding among people whose cultural background, nationality, ethnicity, occupation, gender, amongst others, are different. So in Mexico, we have totally different cultural background related to the one in Thailand. For example, the way you wear, the way you express, or the way you ask something in Thailand and in Mexico may be a little bit different. But what we need to do is to try to understand that those features, those cultural features, or that cultural background from the person or the society where we are interacting with. Right? So this definition about intercultural communication is a very good definition of what it means, okay? So remember, understanding among people whose cultural background is different, because cultural background, nationality, ethnicity, occupation, gender, religion, and many other ideologies or beliefs are important to be recognized and to be understood, okay? So as I was telling you, in English, with the help of English, we can access to all variety, or all these, let's say, big umbrella of cultures all around the world. In an English language classroom, teachers, I believe we really need to promote this kind of understanding with our students of English. I mean, we need to make sure that our students have this panorama, these views of a great variety of different cultures, and that they can use English to communicate with all these cultures, right? Well, this is intercultural communication. I don't know if you guys have any questions or something you would like to add to this definition that I'm showing you, or with the ideas that I have been sharing with you. Remember, understanding the others, understanding your culture first, and then of course understanding the others' culture. It's important. Okay. If you have any questions, go ahead. But if not, I would like to continue if you don't mind. Okay, thank you. I hope you can, my students are there. I hope more of my students, they join us in a minute, but let me continue. So which are the aspects to consider in intercultural communication? Well, based on what we have said before, one of the one of the things that I think it's important, I'm sorry for the typo there, but one of the things that we need to recognize first is the understanding of your own culture and the understanding of the culture from other people. I mean, some people may say, well, I don't want to relate with other people and I don't want to understand other people. Then probably that will take you to a breakdown in trying to relate with that culture, and communication is going to be compromised in that way. So understanding of your cultural aspects and understanding the others' cultural aspects is one of the first aspects to consider in this intercultural communication. Number two, communication or intercultural communication may take place in different ways. You can have intercultural communication in an oral way. It could be in a written way, or it could be in a non-verbal communication way. Just by moving your hands, just by moving your head, or just by doing some movements of your body as well, or the way you are wearing, or the way you look, or you project yourself with nonverbal communication helps to this intercultural communication, or the acceptance and the understanding of those aspects is important. So communication may take place in different ways: oral, written, and nonverbal communication, for example. And number three, accommodation to communicate is extremely important. And what does it mean? Well, it means that you need to consider that if you, for example, are interacting with another student whose accent probably, or the variety of English that person is using is not let's say standard, whatever it means, a standard, you won't say that, or you won't reject that kind of, or that variety of English, or that aspect of the accent of that person, but you accommodate to try to understand the others, the other way to express. And this accommodation is just to trying to put yourself in the place of the other person, and find out the ways, find out the path to try to establish communication, even if there are some differences in the way that person is expressing, or the way that person is communicating. I believe that being a kind of understandable person, a person who can understand all these let's say differences, is accommodating, is a way to accommodate to this kind of communication. But I don't know if you have realized that some people, when they are speaking to another person using English as a way of communication, and if the person doesn't understand you with your accent, some of them, they say, I don't understand you, and they go away, and they don't try to say, okay, can you explain me again? I don't understand very well what you are trying to say, but if you explain again, I probably will do it, or you rephrase it. But some people may be like very, very hostile to the different accents, to the different ways, or the different varieties of English, and they don't accommodate to communicate. Well, I believe that this accommodation aspect is extremely important in intercultural communication. And I strongly believe that, and I'm not the only one, I'm very sure about that. There are many people who believe that accommodation is important to communicate, to promote intercultural communication, for example, is important. I remember very well an anecdote where I was using English here in Mexico to communicate with a person from USA, and my English was not really good. Probably still is not very good, but my English in those years when I was younger was not really good, and I was trying to communicate with this person, and in and I was interacting with him, and he said, "I don't understand." Well, later I knew that he was telling me that he didn't understand, and I said, "Well, I don't understand you too." And he said, "I want to tell you that if this person raised the voice because he thought that by raising the voice and speaking like robot, I could understand what he was saying, but of course, because I didn't know very well English, and because he was not like very patient with me in the communication process. Well, we didn't get into the situation we wanted to solve. So there are many people who may reject this intercultural communication, but hopefully, and I'm really happy about that there are many people who really accommodate. And I'm really happy that you are here now, because this is a first sign of intercultural communication. When you agree to communicate with cultures, with a culture which is completely different, or you may think it's completely different to yours, and you come to communicate, that's very good. That's one of the first steps in order to establish intercultural communication. We are here because we wanted to communicate with each other, even if we are from very, very distant cultures, the Mexican culture and the Thai culture. What do you think about it? Do you have any ideas, or do you have any comments of what I have shared with you until now?
I think accommodation strategy is very important, and as I can see so far, I think like in Thailand, for example, we do not see, I mean, many classes, teaching how to develop the accommodation strategy to the student. When we teach student English, we just focus on the books. This is what you have to speak. This is the way. Okay, this is we normally just mention that this is right and this is wrong, right? But in reality, when we practice, or when we use, or when we communicate English with some people who come from different cultural backgrounds, even when we speak our own mother tongue, right? We do not exactly speak like a 100% correct, grammar or whatever, right? So we just normally just try to accommodate with those interlocutors. So I think if we are able to teach students how to develop their accommodation strategy when they communicate with foreigners, I think that's much more important in the communication process. That's what I think.
Yes, that's true. Yes, it's. I also believe that, as you were saying, this accommodation aspect to communicate is at the core of understanding intercultural communication, and to put into practice this intercultural communication.
It's rarely found in the classroom. I think accommodation strategy is rarely found in the classroom.
I used to teach. I teach intercultural communication, an intercultural communication module, and what we do with my students is to try to pretend different scenarios with different cultures and play roles, trying to understand the others, trying to understand the way they may communicate with people from different cultures. And my students, they enjoy it. My students, they really enjoy playing roles pretending to be pretending, because we don't have lots of cultures here in Mexico to interact with in the classrooms, but we are not a multicultural university, but we pretend to be interacting with those cultures, and my students, they enjoy it. They prepare very good sketches and role plays, and they really love it. In that way, I asked them to develop this accommodation aspect, and to put into practice intercultural communication. And yes, I strongly believe that in the English language classrooms, we really need to promote this kind of aspects. Very good, very good, excellent. In Thailand, do you have, in your university, do you have a kind of multicultural kind of students, or are you mainly Thai people in the classrooms? In Mexico, here in Mexico, we don't have, in this university, our classrooms are mainly Mexican people. I mean, we are not a multicultural classroom or multicultural less lectures. For example, I remember when I was in the United Kingdom, the lectures were multicultural. We were people from all over the world, and we had the opportunity to interact with people from China, from Thailand, from Vietnam, from Chile, from many parts of many cultures, and we had the opportunity to practice there this intercultural communication. Here in Mexico, in this university where I work, we don't have that kind of students with different cultural backgrounds. And my question is, in your university, do you have this possibility to find out students in one same classroom with different cultures?
I think there are some classes. I mean, like which I mean, there are students from different countries. You know, like international programs from the Faculty of Islamic Science. I guess there are many students from ASEAN countries study in that faculty. I guess. Yeah.
But I find this very interesting, because in that way, the intercultural communication, or the awareness for this aspect or this topic, intercultural communication, may increase, because they, in real life, in the classrooms, they have different people from with different backgrounds, cultural backgrounds. So that's in the case of this university where I work, or where we are. And in this campus, we don't have that kind of multicultural background in our students, in terms that all of us, we are Mexicans mainly. And but in other campuses, it may be a little bit different. But in this case, no. That's why I ask my students to pretend to be, or to do some role plays to pretend to be from other cultures, and they communicate, and we all together analyze the intercultural communication that is happening in those interactions. Anyways, well, let me continue if you don't mind. There are three main components of intercultural communication. And the first one is intercultural sensitivity. Of course, I don't have to explain lots about it, but it means, for example, that you are capable of understanding the other person. I mean, the culture from the other person, to have the sensitivity to say, well, you are like this, let's you are expressing these ideas like this, I understand you now, and let's proceed with whatever we have in hand, or whatever we would like to communicate, or whatever we would like to share in this communication. So intercultural sensitivity is extremely important. So number two, intercultural awareness. Again, intercultural consciousness about, well, as I was telling you, the culture of the other, your culture, and the culture from the other person. And number 3, intercultural adroitness. That means the ability to interact with different cultures. And not many people, unfortunately, not many people, they have this ability. So as I was telling you, there are some people who strongly believe that their culture is the one that needs to be the dominant, and that there are no other one but his or hers as the one and the only one. No, but the ability to create this intercultural or to interact with different cultures is extremely important. 3 main components of intercultural communication: intercultural sensitivity, intercultural awareness, and intercultural adroitness. And do you have this as a teacher or as a student? Have you thought about it? Do you have this sensitivity to different cultures? Do you have the awareness in the intercultural communication? Do you
Of
have
course,
this ability?
yeah. I think we mostly, I mean, it's very important to aware, the different cultural backgrounds of students, especially when we teach the student who come from different countries or different nations. So, I mean, cultural adjustment or the awareness of different cultures, I think is somehow affect, the way we teach.
Yes, I totally agree with that. Yes.
Because what I found so far, what we can do in our country, it doesn't mean that we can do in other country, right? So yeah, so I mean, we should actually we must aware, the difference of the cultures, of learners,
Yes.
before we start teaching our class.
And it's very, very interesting how some cultures, some cultures, they welcome some different cultures in their same culture, and they really respect and they welcome some other cultures from all around the world. I was telling you that I was in the United Kingdom, and I was really surprised how in the society where I was interacting in this school, they welcome different cultures, and they had very specific areas for example, for praying, for example, for social activities among cultures and everything. And I was really, really happy and surprised how some cultures, they welcome some other cultures, and they invite the others to come and interact with them. And thanks God, this intercultural openness, intercultural communication is there in the world, and not just some cultures and some people, they are really like rejecting the culture from the others. And of course, the intercultural communication in those cases is kind of complicated sometimes. But as I was telling you, thanks to English, and in the English language classroom, we need to promote these ideas. But I totally respect to the ones who think differently, because there is people who think differently about these ideas and these concepts, which is totally okay if they find that the way of thinking is correct. So this part of understanding is what I was telling you is very, very important, right? Very good. So these 3 main components of intercultural communication. Please, if you feel that you would like to ask something or to add something, please raise your hand and I will give you the opportunity to interact, okay? But if not, let me continue. Well, now let's do a little bit of a couple of examples of how students could face intercultural communication in this session, or today's session. I am going to ask one student from Thailand, one who is here, and one student from Mexico. Hopefully there is someone here. Let me see.
Be ready, Ajahn Vimalrat, you are going to be the student.
I am going to be the student. I see.
Yes.
Okay, and I don't know what happened, but there were some of them. Probably they were afraid of interacting with different cultures. I don't know. Well, like I am going to be the student. I am going to pretend to be a student,
Uh-huh.
and whoever would like to participate with me,
Yeah.
what we are going to do is we are going to pretend we are in an English language lesson, and that we are going to, let's say, beginners, not advanced students, kind of beginner students, and we need to have an interaction where our teacher asked us to introduce ourselves, like if we were uh, meeting each other for the first time. So finding out what's your name and all this, some personal information. Okay, we are going to do this activity for a minute. So I am going to be taking the time just to have 1 minute so we can interact. Okay, I would like you the others. I would like you to pay attention to how do we solve, let's say, non-communication. I mean, uh, little problems of not non-communication. I mean, if I don't understand something, I would say, can you repeat that, or what did you say, or these kind of things. We are going to identify them, okay? And after that, we are going to discuss if we were doing intercultural communication in this little example of interaction. And as well, I would like you to pay attention to my sensitivity possible, or the sensitivity, the three aspects that I showed you: sensitivity, the awareness, and the accommodation aspect. Okay, so who would like to interact with me?
Maybe.
Okay, Wilmer Rat. So
Yes.
please, if you feel I am going to do some, probably I am going to do some intentional questions that probably are not appropriate, because of course I am going to pretend I am a beginner student, and of course now that I am I am a teacher, I know what kind of questions I can do
Okay.
and what kind of questions I cannot do, but I am going to pretend like if I were a beginner student. Okay, please, if you feel that I am doing something that makes you feel
Yeah.
uncomfortable, just stop
Yes.
me, and then or change topic. Okay, okay, okay. So can we
Let's
start
try.
1 minute?
Okay.
Okay, let's start 1 minute to do the activity from now. Go. Hello. Uh,
Hello, teacher.
how are you?
I'm okay. Thank you.
What's your name?
My name is Wimonrat.
Women, right. Nice to meet you. My name is Armando.
Uh,
Are you from a country where are you from a Middle East country?
uh, no.
You look like from Saudi Arabia.
Oh yes. Really?
Yes,
Oh.
it's because you are wearing in that way, like in Saudi Arabia. Are you from that part of the world?
No, no. I'm just from Thailand.
Thailand. Where is Thailand?
Oh, I live in the southern of Thailand. Do you know about that?
No, I haven't. No, no, I have no, no, no. I haven't heard. So, uh, are you a student too? What do you study?
I study English.
Okay, English. I like English too. Okay, let's stop. So, in this little exercise, sorry, I'm going to go back to the stop the practicing, but here we go. In this little exercise, um, can you please tell me, guys, or the audience, how did we do the communication? Did we show a intercultural communication between the two of us? Yes or no, and why yes and why not? I would like to ask you that. Any ideas? Did we do intercultural communication or not? And can you give us examples of how was it in the little conversation that I had with Will Monrad? Jesus is here. Okay.
Anybody?
Anybody?
Yes.
For example, what do you think when I asked her if she were from
Yes.
from Saudi Arabia? What do you think about it? Do you think that is part of the intercultural communication, asking these kind of questions and probably I wanted to make sure that that probably she was from Saudi Arabia, but she said no. What do you think about that kind of things, that kind of communication that happened?
Yeah, I mean, I think the question that you ask is somehow related to cultures, and it seems like
Yes.
sometimes we just judge people from what they wear.
Yes. Yes, of course. Most of the time, because we are not aware, we have some preconceptions of something, and we what we perceive or what we have up in the knowledge in our background is we put it in the communication because we think that's the truth, or we believe that this is the way it is. But in intercultural communication, it may happen that you believe that something is the way you think, but in reality it's something different, right? So, but that aspect of understanding and having that kind of sensitivity, of course, Will Monrad didn't reject the communication and stopped the communication. She said, no, I'm not from Saudi Arabia, I'm from Thailand. So she, with that action, she wanted to continue the communication. She wanted, she was trying to understand the way I was dealing with the communication. And later on, she said, no, I'm from Thailand. And these kind of examples may happen or maybe in the communication with different cultures. And especially with beginners and students who are at the beginner levels, when they don't know many things, or when they don't understand many things about the language, or they don't understand many things about the cultures, different cultures, that may happen. And I think we need to show them how all this intercultural communication may be present when they communicate in English with the help of English. And I think even it happens with the grammatical, the grammar and the pronunciation. Sometimes it's important to understand that because we are users of English as a lingua franca, sometimes because our linguistic background, we may associate our first language to the English language, and we probably may not following the perfect grammatical rules in English. Like, for example, breaking the S or the plural with in the simple present of the verbs, or some other aspects of the grammar. That understanding that and realizing about that is also part of the intercultural communication aspect. So thank you very much for this little example. I don't know if you would like to comment something about that exercise I made with Will Monrad and how it deals, or how it has a relationship with intercultural communication. How did you feel, Will Monrad, when I asked you if you were from Saudi Arabia?
First, I feel not so good. To be honest, I feel, why you judge me like I am from Saudi Arabia, but why you don't look around, no? Yes.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes,
Kind of embarrassed, you know?
yes,
Yeah.
and I did it well, with the intention of you to react,
Yeah.
with the intention for you to react to this aspect. I of course know that you are from Thailand and not from Saudi Arabia, but I was pretending. Now
Yes.
these things happen. For example, one of my activities in the intercultural communication lecture in the class, I ask my students to pretend to be from Saudi Arabia. One lady from Saudi Arabia and one person from another country, from a country which is not with let's say a Mexican. And one thing that happened that was that when they were interacting, like meeting for the first or introducing themselves for the first time, this student of mine who is Mexican, and the lady, the student, pretending being from Saudi Arabia, they were interacting and they said, hello, my name is Juan. And the lady said, hello, my name is Mashallah, for example. And the boy said, nice to meet you, and kissed the lady. And I said, well, you have to be very careful. After we did that exercise, I explained them, well, you have to be very careful because in that culture, it is not appropriate to kiss the person as the first time when you meet. Probably in the Mexican culture, because that is part of the Mexican culture, or the Mexican, or the, I would say, most Latino culture. We are really, really warm, and we would like to have contact. And when we meet each other, or when we meet someone, it's highly possible that we kiss the person, Mexicans. And probably that is appropriate for us, but it probably is not appropriate for other cultures, like specifically from people from some regions, because we need to respect them. But that's the way we believe, or we behave in Mexico. And I explained them, well, you have to be very careful, because in certain cultures, we need to respect how to address certain situations. And he said, oh, okay, I didn't know about that. Well, but the thing is that we need to show them that your own culture is not the only one. You don't need to be centered in your own culture, but you need to understand the others. You need also in order to have a very good intercultural communication, you need to have that sensitivity, understanding, and accommodation to the communication, right? For example, here in Mexico, as I was telling you, we say, hello, how are you? But I know that in Thai, you say, good morning, or you do this. But in Mexico, we just wave the hand. Well, if we had lots of Mexican students here, we could have some other exercises like that. But the Mexican culture, or the Latino culture, is like this, like really, really open. And probably some other cultures may think that we are really with very hot blood, that we are really, really like passionate about things. And some other cultures like yours is really, really formal, and you are very, very, very not like touching each other like we are here in Mexico, like giving a kiss when you meet someone, right? And that's part of intercultural communication. I don't know if you would like to share with me or with us any example of Thai culture that you would like Mexicans you would like Mexicans understand from your culture, or your culture, while we are communicating with you. For example, this, I didn't know this, but I learned it when I was trying to understand a little bit of your culture to bring it to with some examples. But I know that you have different this ones. I know that you have something like this, or something like this. And I know a little bit about that, but I'm not an expert. Is anything anything you would like to share with us Mexicans to understand your culture, to see, like, for example, we like to kiss and we like to hug when we meet a person. And that's something we would like to share with you, that we are like this. So if you meet a Mexican person, don't be afraid, don't judge, because this is the culture. What you can do is say, I know that you like to hug and kiss, but please, I don't, because I have these beliefs. Can you help me to understand me? And probably I'm sure we will respect you. But these aspects, the cultural aspects, only can be understood if we have the sensitivity to try to show them to others. Right? Is there something else that you would like to share with us Mexicans? Like, for example, this one. Is there something from the culture from Thailand that we really need to know if we would like to interact with you?
Can I add something?
Yes,
Yes, of
sure.
course.
Go ahead.
Yes.
Right.
I don't know who's
Good morning,
speaking.
Prof. Armando. My name is Bayati. I would like to share something about intercultural communication in Thai context.
Bayati.
As you said, okay, in formal situation, we use our two hands, we put together, and then we greet, we say something like "Sawadee ka" by ladies, but "Sawadee krap" by men. But, in real life, sometimes we don't always used to say this, because if we communicate among friends or people who are very close to, we don't say hello, we don't say good morning, we don't say sawadee ka, sawadee krap. We say something like, did you have your breakfast? Gin khao le yang? It's a mean of greeting, we don't usually say hello or how are you. We don't even say that, among close friends. Sawadee krap, sawadee krap. It seems like when you talk to people who are not really close to you, or maybe in formal situation, it's very weird, if we talk to friends and we say sawadee ka, once you meet, face to face. But if you do chattings, okay, it's fine. We usually greet using this word. Sawadee ka means hello. It's equivalent to hello or hi. Yeah. And also, it's very interesting to also to study how students used to say what Ajahn tan khao le yang. Ajahn means teacher. Did you have your lunch? The students, in fact, he or she wants to greet the teacher. So this is one thing that we can say that is maybe contextual or situational in Thai context. But I also heard something like this in Chinese culture, because when my Chinese friends, sometimes they told us when they greet friends, sometimes they say initial what 吃饭了吗？吃饭了吗？ something like "Kin khao le yang" or "Did you have your meal?" This is what I heard, but I'm not sure if there is anyone from China here. Maybe he or she can clarify or can explain more on this. I don't know whether what I'm talking here is something other people also heard about it. Okay, thank you so much. This is what I just want to share with you. Yeah.
Thank you, Bayati. Please forgive me if I don't pronounce very well your name, Bayati. But yes, these are
my name
examples.
is Bayati, correct? Yes.
Thank you, Bayati. These are good examples of how cultural background, the culture of someone is really, really important, and we sometimes behave accordingly to the context where we are expressing our in the context where we are communicating, even in our own culture, as Dr. Yusuf was telling us some minutes earlier. In the same culture, we have differences. I mean, in the same Mexican context, we have differences in culture. It's not the same kind of culture in the north part of Mexico, which is really close to the United States of America, to the place where I live, which is far away from that part of Mexico. We are in the south part, and of course that part is the north part, and we have many cultural differences. So trying to meet and trying to understand this in cultural differences is what it makes also what it makes possible the intercultural communication. And I would like to ask you something else. What do you think about Mexicans in general? Do you think when you say when you hear Mexican people, or when you hear Mexico, what do you think about? Because let me tell you that when I hear Thailand, I think about Asia and I think about Buddhism, but I'm not really sure. If that is that's true. But if I have that curiosity and I would like to interact with people from Thailand, and if I find a way to make contact with you or with people, I may ask them all these things. And in that way, we are promoting, or we can promote intercultural communication just by being interested in that other culture, in that aspect of the culture of that person or that part of the society. So when you hear Mexico, or when you hear Mexicans, what do you think? What's the first thing that comes to your mind? Mexico, Mexicans. Tequila, maybe?
Cheerful people,
Cheerful people.
Cheerful.
Cheerful people,
Yeah.
right? Yes.
Yeah.
Mexicans, we are like
Yeah.
this. And this
Hot and
explains
spicy food. What about hot and
spicy
spicy
food. And
food?
I have to tell you something about the spicy food. I have to share with you something about the spicy food in a minute. But let me go back to this cheerful people. That explains why when we communicate in English, we take our culture, the Mexican culture, to the English communication, and we apply
Yes.
it to communicate in English. But we bring the culture, the Mexican culture, with us, and we apply it through English. And we want to kiss the person, we meet the person for the first time. Of course, is when there is a kind of friendly person. But if that is, for example, Mr. President, we don't kiss him like that for the first time. When there's a very, very big name or very, very important person, we don't have that proximity. We take care of that. But in general, when we meet someone who we would like to create a relation, that, or we believe that we can have a close relationship, we behave like that, Mexicans. And that happens in communication in English, I was telling you, because we bring our culture through the communication in English, and we put it in there. And I believe that that is a natural process. That is a natural process of bringing your culture to the language you are learning and put it in there. It's something natural, I believe, something that you cannot separate and totally. Probably we can try, but you cannot separate that part of your culture and put it in communication in English as your foreign language, or as your second language, probably, or a language that you are learning. So yes, that explains why even if we are communicating in English, Mexicans, we are really expressive. We like to express our emotions and our feelings, and well, that's the way it is. Now, coming back to the point of spicy food, yes, in Mexico, we really love spicy food, but not the, and I have learned that Thai people, they really like spicy food. But we, when I was reading for this talk, I learned that you, in general, in Thailand, you eat spicy food. And I said, well, we also eat the spicy food. Mexicans, we like spicy food. But I learned that the kind of spicy that you eat is not the kind of spicy that in Mexico we eat. I have learned that, and please let me know if that is true or false. You are the experts, you are Thai people, that when you eat spicy food, that means spicy food. It's not like the kind of spicy that we Mexicans eat. We Mexicans eat what I have learned is that we eat kind of spicy, but in Thailand, it's really, really, really hot. Sometimes the kind of spicy that you eat, but that's one of the similarities that we, in general, these cultures, we eat spicy food. But I believe that you are a little bit more tolerant to spicy, because I have learned that you really use extremely spicy food compared with the levels of spicy that we use. But understanding those aspects and trying or communicating or put them into communication, intercultural communication, it's important. What else do you, or can you tell me about the Mexican culture? When I say Mexico, we already said that we are cheerful and that we eat spicy food. Something else you would like to say about the Mexican culture? Let me see if you have something here in the chat box. Okay.
You can, yes, everyone, you can type your your ideas, your opinions.
Yes.
Maybe the
Any thoughts about cultural?
Yeah, maybe the costumes they wear looks very colorful.
The way we wear it's very colorful. Probably, yes, probably. Some people in Mexico, we like to, not today, but sometimes we like to wear very colorful, and we associate it with the weather, probably. The different kinds of very, very, let's say, weather, which is more invite you to wear colorful clothes sometimes. But yes, probably yes. So, but all these aspects I was telling you are the aspects that we bring into the communication, consciously or not consciously, but mainly when we are conscious about all these cultural differences or cultural aspects of the other, is extremely important to create intercultural communication, to create accommodation, to understand the other, right? And there is one aspect that I would like to say also. In my opinion, there is no perfection. And what I tell my students, when you build a communication in English, when you build a communication, if you have a little bit of a grammatical problem, don't worry. The important thing at some stages is that you communicate the idea. Later, probably you will learn which one is the grammatical problem that you had. And if you are conscious or you would like to make sure that there is a mistake in grammar, then you can correct it. But that is a very good opportunity for you to communicate and to interact with other people, and don't get stressed on the grammatical rules that probably you cannot follow 100% as they are in dictionaries or as they are in grammatical books. or in grammatical manuals. If communication happens, that's one of the first steps for using, in this case, English. Make sure that you communicate your ideas the best you can, and do not get overstressed if you are not like 100% perfect in English, because there is no perfection in my point of view. Oh, I mean, in this world, in this earth, there is no perfection, and languages are not perfect. Even if we sometimes may want to believe that this kind of English is the perfect one, or that kind of English is the perfect one. In reality, languages are all the time changing. Languages are all the time moving. And that's what I can tell you about it. Okay, I would like to ask you one more thing, and probably, and then we can just move a little bit more. Have you experienced as a student or as a teacher any intercultural communication which was not proper? I mean, a situation where you had not intercultural communication, where you had a kind of shock, a kind of misunderstanding, or something that happened that didn't let's say, promote the communication. Like the one I shared with you when I was a young person. I had the opportunity to interact with this a person from USA, and probably he got impatient. He was not really patient with me, and he started speaking louder to me, because probably he thought that speaking louder to me I would understand. Have you had an experience where intercultural communication was not taking place as a student, and why it happened? Because the person the person you were communicating with was not with that sensitivity to understand you, because the person didn't want to accommodate to the way you were using the language. What happened? Would you like to share an experience if you have one, please? Or did you have an experience like this one, where there was no communication at all, even with your teacher of English? It would be a good idea to share your experiences. Have you ever communicated with a Mexican like me? Do you understand what I am saying? Do you understand the ideas?
Yes, of course, we understand you.
Yes, totally. Yes. I'm not saying that you are not. I'm not
Sorry,
saying that you
can
are
I
naive,
share? Yeah,
but yes.
Yes, Ajahn Fatima.
can I share my experience?
Yes, please.
This actually not happened in my classroom, but when I work in an international company, and then it's the way of greeting of different people around the world. Well, like me, I am a Muslim lady, right? So and then I need to work with like lots of foreigner at the time, and then there are and there was the chance that I need to work with my foreign colleagues, which were male at the time. And then when they greet me, so it's normal for Western people, right? They will like shake hands, isn't it? And then for me as a Muslim lady, so we cannot like do that kind of greeting with other male. And then so at the time, if personally, so I can I put my hand like why, you know what, why in Thai, like a palm joined together is the way of Thai greeting. So I just put I just like reject shaking hand back, but I just why back to that guy. And then I feel at the time I feel like it a little bit ashamed for me, and I feel like for him as well, like because it's in front of so many people at the time. So and after that, I told him, after that situation, I told him, I'm sorry. It doesn't mean that I don't want to like greet him, or it was not. It doesn't mean that it was not nice to meet him, but it's the way that I, as a Muslim lady, I cannot like do that kind of greeting with you. So I explained him later. So that one thing that I myself experienced.
Yes.
And there was one situation as well when I need to go up on the stage and get the reward, and then my boss, who are the Westerner, who are from the Western country, and then when they congratulate to me, so they like shaking hand like that, and then in front of in public so many people, and then I don't know how to do it. And then sometimes I was forced like to shake hand back as well. So that's such kind of dilemma. Thing like that as well. So that's the thing. And after that, I personally talked to him like maybe next time, like, and I explained to him what I can do and what I cannot. And after that, there will be more concern on like diversity in the workplace.
Yes. Well, that cultural aspect of you, Fatima, it's important to be recognized, and I may say that especially with religion and beliefs, it's extremely important to try to understand that part of the religion. I mean, if I meet you in person, Fatima, I won't kiss you, as I'm Mexican, and I kiss my close friends, and my wife says, Armando, you are really fortunate, because in our Mexican culture you can kiss another person and I won't get angry. And I said, yes, because that's our culture. But if I were in your culture, Fatima, and if I meet you, I won't do that, because I will understand that that is not part of your culture, of your beliefs. And that's something that we need to understand in intercultural communication, to have that sensitivity to understand the other, to create adequate intercultural communication, in fact. And I have to say that I didn't know, I'm not an expert in the Muslim religion, but I was really, really happy, and I was really, really interested in meeting, for example, or to know some of the basics or some of the general aspects of the Muslim religion. And I, for example, the first friends that I had in real life, face to face, were Muslims. Where one of them is in here, and I met him in Southampton, and it was the first time I met a person who was Muslim, and or who is Muslim. And from that moment, I started to asking many things about the Muslim culture, and I learned many things, and thanks to my sensitivity to try to create a intercultural communication with the Muslim people. And in that way, I had the opportunity, or I have had the opportunity, to meet some other cultures around the world. And that helps me a lot. That helps me a lot, because that gives me the opportunity to be aware of so many different cultures, and that I can communicate with them by using one same language, in this case, English. Thanks to English, we are creating right now, in these minutes, we are creating intercultural communication thanks to English. Because I don't know a word in Thai, and probably you don't know a word in Spanish. But thanks to English, we are creating this intercultural communication. And I have to say that my English is not perfect. I don't know if you realize that I don't speak like American. I don't speak like British. I don't speak like Canadian. I speak like Mexican, with Mexican kind of the Mexican way we speak, right? the way I am speaking now is the way I speak in Spanish. And I can just put away that. And I don't want to put away that. I want to keep like the way I am. I understand many things about accents. And I have had the opportunity to interact with people with different accents, different varieties of English. And I don't try to force them to follow certain kind of variety. I just accept that there are differences in the ways we communicate. In the way we communicate orally, or in oral speaking, in writing, and with nonverbal communication. And I think that's one of the important things in this aspect of intercultural communication: sensitivity, awareness, ability to accommodate to others. And I'm really happy to interact with you all, people, Muslims and non-Muslims, and Thais and not Thais. I'm really, really happy to interact with you. Well, that's the way it is. I don't know if you would like to say something else about these examples, because in this moment, what we are doing is trying to give examples of how intercultural communication may happen in the classrooms or outside the classrooms, or the experiences that you have had as users of English, and how it has played a role in intercultural communication. I don't know if someone else would like to share something about it.
I have one more thing to share in the classroom.
Okay, Fatima, go ahead.
Yeah. That's the way that our Thai student learning style, maybe like whenever like when foreign teacher teach Thai students, and then they always smile and kind of doing nod their head. So please, sometimes we cannot assume that when they smile, they understand what you said, or when this nodding their head, it doesn't mean that they understand all of what the teacher are saying. So smiling and nodding head is not the answer that yes, I understand you. And you know what, sometimes when you ask again the questions, the same questions, they might, even though they might smile again, or they like, or even they say yes to you, but actually when I ask my student, okay, can you please explain that, what the, because I teach with my American teacher to my students. And then when the American teacher says something and they keep smiling, sometimes nodding their head, and then, but I feel that no, there might something, that we need some explanation to the students. And then therefore the American teacher may might understand that, oh, okay, so the students understood what she or he said. And then when I ask my student to explain what the teacher said just now in Thai, so it come out in different way. So it means that they don't understand it all. Okay, so that's the way that I like to raise in this situation as well, because we are the culture of the land of smile, right? So smiling doesn't mean like we say yes, or we understand, or we agree with you every time. No, so please don't assume that. So that's the thing.
That's another very good example of how intercultural communication happens. Yes.
And Fatima, from your examples, do you have any? I'm not sure if you have had in the opportunity to ask your student. Why they keep smiling? The agenda or the meaning. Behind their smiling.
That would be that.
Yeah, why they just?
That would be a very good question. Why do they keep smiling?
Keep smiling because they don't know what to say. Sorry. Yeah, they don't know what to say in English, so that's why they just keep smiling, or even they don't know how to speak in English, and then sometimes they feel like they don't confident to ask the teacher, and they feel sometimes the word "kreng chai," I'm not sure in English, they feel like kreng chai to ask the teacher. They feel like considerate to if they ask too many questions. So better keep smiling to make the teacher feel good, and then and then they struggle later. That's fine.
Yeah. So it seems like smiling can be a way to solve the problems.
They think. I think they think so.
But the important thing is this question you made to the student. Why you keep smiling? It's not because you're forcing her to tell you that, but to understand what happens, to understand what is behind, and that action to trying to understand is part of intercultural communication.
Yeah, and this can be your PhD thesis.
Research, next research topic.
Next research topic.
No.
Yes, I guess so.
You can work on this
Don't
topic
count it as my commitment now.
Yes, yes. Well, yes.
Yes, that's one example. That's a very interesting one.
All these things may happen in the classroom, all these things may happen in the academic world, but also all this happens in real life. And we need to prepare our students for real life, not only for classrooms, not only for classroom communication, but for real life communication. There are more non-native speakers, whatever it means, non-native speakers, and there are more non-native users of English than native users of English, native people. I mean, I need English to go to China and to communicate. I need English to go to, let's say, England, or I need English to go to whatever else in the world, and with English we can communicate. It is not only to countries where English is the first language where we are going to use the English to communicate. So that's one of the things that I believe that we need to emphasize in the English language classroom, that there are some models that we can follow. I don't know if you have heard about this concentric circles of classifying the
English-speaking countries.
English-speaking countries, yes. The English-speaking countries, the countries where English is the second language, and the countries where English is learned as a foreign language, well, or used as a foreign language. Well, there are most from the outer circle, or this outer part of this big circle, and more from the middle circle, and just a few of in the inner circle. So we are the chances of communicating with people from many other cultures which are not the native, they are higher than the ones with native ones, and we need to be prepared to communicate with and to create intercultural communication with all these cultures, including the ones where English is spoken as the first language, right? And that's what I wanted to share with all these examples.
Yeah, and Amando, can you share some suggestion activities that you try to support or develop the intercultural communication with your students, to increase intercultural awareness?
Yes, one of the activities that I really like to do with my students, and I find they enjoyed it, probably because this is the cultural part that I take advantage of here in Mexico, is the role play, pretending in the classroom to be from another culture. And what I ask them to do first, before the activity, is I ask them to find out as much as possible from the culture I ask them to look for. I mean, I tell them, well, tomorrow you guys are going to pretend that you are going to be from India. Please find out the basic cultural aspects from India and use those aspects to communicate in your role play tomorrow. You have to decide the topic of your role play, but in the role play you have to use some cultural aspects from India, and try to create intercultural communication among you. And I create groups. I create 2, 3, and I tell 2 of you are going to be from India, and you 2 are going to be from another culture. And create that situation, pretending that you are interacting among different cultures in a very specific, with a very specific topic, and create intercultural communication. But sometimes I ask them to create non-intercultural communication, so that they break down the communication, but then we analyze how they could solve it in real life. So how to accommodate. So intentionally, some of my students create that barrier in communication, so then we can analyze what could they do in situations like that, like those ones. For example, lots of grammatical errors, whatever we can call errors, are put in practice so they can have misunderstanding. And in that way, well, I create awareness. It's the role play, pretending to be from another culture, using English to communicate, and the analysis that we do after those role plays helps a lot. And asking my students, how did they feel putting themselves in the shoes of another culture, is very, very helpful for increasing the awareness of someone else's culture and create the intercultural communication. That's one of the best things I can tell you. It has helped my students, or it has helped my intercultural communication module. And I hope you probably because my students, they really like to act and to do these role plays. It help you. I don't know what would it happen if I were teaching in Thailand. Honestly, first I need to know the culture of my students to ask them if they would like to do these role plays. Probably a Muslim boy won't act as is in another culture, pretending to be another culture. I don't know. But of course, if I were teaching in Thailand, for example, I would first understand my students, to know my students, to ask them to do these role plays, or maybe to do something else. Like, for example, reading is another way. Reading different writers from different cultures helps a lot, because in the readings there's lots of cultural aspects that we can crystallize in intercultural communication. So, but it depends on the different students we are working with, I believe. And of course, Mexicans, I know that my students, and that's why I ask them to do role plays, and they do it very, very, sometimes they bring costumes, and they act very well the different cultures in the role plays. I don't know if that answers your question. Very good.
Atan Fatimah, did you still remember the camps that we have with the cultural camp, right?
Yeah, cultural camps. Camp in Yala, right?
Yes. Maybe
Yes.
that can be one of the activity that can increase and develop the intercultural communication. Yeah. I mean, we try to run the English camp, cultural camp, let's say, but we are by using English as the main language for communication.
Yes.
We have different staffs. We have invited international students as the staff to work, to work together with local students. In that case, the local student will be able, to discuss and learn with the international student in terms of their cultural differences,
and in terms of variety of English accent as well.
Well, take advantage of those possibilities that you have in order to increase the awareness in the students and people in general. I mean, using English as a means of communication is a very good opportunity to increase awareness in intercultural communication. Well, yes. What else? I can see so many people connected, and I hope they all are just following the talk. I don't know the names, so I don't know how to pronounce all the names. Warapon, Pijapat, thank you for being here. Warisara, thank you very much for being here. Nasirin, thank you very much for being here. And I'm just doing this because I want to see if there are some of my students here. And I see some names here. Oh, sorry. Jesus, it was Jesus here, but not anymore. Okay. Thank you very much for being here, guys.
Hi, teacher.
Jesus, you are
Good night.
here. How are you, Jesus? How are you learning something from the Thai culture, Jesus? Something from the Thai culture.
Yes, this is a very interesting conference.
Thank you very much for being here, Jesus. I'm really happy. And well, and who else is here? I'm sorry, I'm just checking. Joanna, hello, Joanna. How are you? Thank you very much for being here and interacting with people from Thailand. I hope you are finding interesting this topic. Thanks for that. Yes, they are my students, and they are in second semester, if I'm not wrong. They are, let's say, beginners in the study of English language, and I'm really proud of them because even if they are beginners, they are at the beginner levels. They are just joining this kind of conferences. I'm really happy about that, and I'm really sure that they are learning from you and your culture and the things that we have been discussing together today. Thanks for that, and thank you all you guys from Thailand who are connected that I cannot pronounce all your names, but I'm really happy and grateful that you are here. Araya and Banirat, Pratsani, and all you guys. Thank you very much, Tani. Thank you very much for being here, Paesa. Thank you very much for being here, guys. Now, I would like to, if you don't mind, because we have still some minutes to complete this, I would like to go to the following slide. Well, these were examples, but now let's continue with this because I was telling you that there is a really important aspect or the importance of awareness in intercultural communication is just enormous. I mean, we really need to be conscious of the intercultural communication in our classrooms. And I have here an idea that I took from a very, very important person who researched about this and who is interested in this topic. He says, intercultural awareness is a conscious understanding of the role of culturally based forms, practices, and understanding can have an intercultural communication and an ability to put this conception to practice. I'm sorry for that space, to practice in a flexible and context-specific manner in real-time communication. That means there is no conscious understanding and tolerance of culture differences if there is no conscious understanding and tolerance of cultural differences, then intercultural communication may be affected, may be compromised. That's more or less what I can explain about this idea by Will Baker, who wrote this paragraph related to intercultural awareness. It's a very conscious understanding of the role that of the culture and how this affects or may affect positively, or when it doesn't, when it's not present, it affects negatively the communication. So please raise awareness about intercultural communication in yourselves and with your students. Okay, that's one of the things I would like to share with you, and I learned this from this person, Baker, when I read this. Okay, so now that leads us to the last part, and in this part I have these three conclusions, but if you have something else to add to these three ideas, please feel free to share with us other ideas that you may conclude from this talk. One of the first things I can conclude, or we can conclude, is that intercultural communication requires understanding. Okay, and we need to be we need to put ourselves in the shoes of the other person to try to build that intercultural communication, and to try to understand that we are not all the same in this communication world. We are different. Understanding these differences may help us a lot to create intercultural communication. So it requires understanding. Then, conscious understanding of someone else's cultural practices is important for communication. I mean, your practices, the things you do in your daily life, are extremely important to be to create this intercultural communication with someone else. Okay, so, and this understanding needs to be conscious. You need to be in the here and in the now to understand someone else, to understand the culture of someone else, and in that way to build intercultural communication. And last but not least, promote intercultural communication in your language lessons, in your language classrooms. In that way, you will give the opportunity to your students to look beyond the limits that some of them may look. So try to give them the opportunity to visualize the world in different way. That there is not only one culture or two cultures that we have, or that we need to look for, but there are many of them, many possibilities around the world to create intercultural communication. So promote intercultural communication in the way you would like to do it, by reading, by interacting orally, or by creating role plays, or by bringing music from all different parts of the world, by trying to connect with different aspects of different cultures, and not only one kind of culture, because that really doesn't happen in real world. So those are the conclusions, but I would like to ask, what would you conclude from this talk? Is there something else you would like to add in here? Or any ideas that you may conclude, or that you would like to propose as conclusion for this experience of intercultural communication?
Since intercultural communication is very important in communication process, especially when you have to contact, with the interlocutors who come from different cultural backgrounds. However, when we look back, in terms of the activities, how to support our students, to develop the intercultural awareness, we still lack of the information regarding this particular issue. So it's maybe important, for all of us as the scholars, to try to figure out, different types of activity which is suitable for our own context, how to develop the awareness, of the students regarding intercultural communication.
Yes, and there are some students that they have the possibility to travel around the world. When you have the possibility to travel around the world, that's a very, very advisable way to create intercultural awareness. Yeah. Because in that way, you have the possibility to see that what you have learned or what you have studied in a book applies or may not apply according to different contexts and different cultures. Those kinds of students are really lucky, because they have those opportunities. Exchange programs like the ones that some universities promote, they are great opportunities for the students to create or to increase this intercultural awareness. Hopefully, right now we have this opportunity remotely, I mean through computer, to create this intercultural awareness. But yes, some students who have the money to travel, or who have the resources to do or to travel around the world, they are really lucky, because in that way they create lots of intercultural communication awareness.
Yeah, or maybe if we don't have enough money, to travel around the world, so maybe it's somehow very difficult for them, right? So,
Yes.
what I normally do in my class, in the class of the Global English as a class, I always take my student, to tourist destination places in Thailand, and then I assign some activities for them, to interview foreigners from different countries, and from that activities, they it provide them opportunity, to discuss and to talk and to share their ideas with different people from different countries, and this can increase the awareness of the student a lot in terms of the intercultural communication.
Yes, here in Mexico, where we are in Cozumel, we are in a very touristic area here in Cozumel, and we receive lots of cruise ships from USA, for example, because they come from USA, they stay here in Cozumel, which is an island, beautiful island, by the way, and there are many tourism from USA mainly, but just in mainland, there is a place called Playa del Carmen. In that very touristic area in Playa del Carmen, like 40 minutes away in ferry, in ship, students from Cozumel can go and interact with people from all around the world, because that touristic area, Playa del Carmen, the Riviera Maya, there is tourism from all over the world. And I tell my students, whenever you have the opportunity to go to Playa del Carmen, which is 40 minutes away from Cozumel in ferry, go and try to interact with people from all around the world, using English, of course, because most of my students, they don't know German, they don't know French, they don't know some other languages, but they know English. And I tell them, go there and try to practice English with these kind of different cultures. Interview them, or try to interact with people from other parts of the world, because it is not all, it's not, in real life, you are going to interact with different people from all around the world, not from the countries where English is the first language only. And well, probably some of my students, they do it, but I hope that after this pandemic, they can, or we can do something like you are doing, Dr. Yusuf, and with your students. I'm going to take them to Playa del Carmen and trying to interview people from other parts of the world, and not only from people from with people from USA. Probably that will increase more the intercultural awareness. Very good idea.
Yes, thank you. Yes. Okay. Now I think this time to all participants. This time is about Q&A session. So
Yes.
welcome for on questions either in the chat box. You can type it, and I will read it to the speaker. Okay. And then if you want to ask the speaker directly, yes, you can turn on your microphone and then ask what you want. Any ideas or any questions regarding the topic today, intercultural communication, please?
I think
Oh,
Fatima
Ajahn,
would like to
yeah.
participate.
Yeah.
Yes, Prof, I have a question. So I'm sorry if there is like disturbing sound from my house renovation. Okay,
Don't
so
worry.
when talking about like intercultural communication, right, or intercultural or cross-cultural understanding, something pop up in my mind that do we need to just understand, or to follow, or like to adapt our practice to be the same with others or not? Because in Thai we have like the proverb, the saying say like "เข้าเมืองตาหลิวต้องหลิวตาตาม," or in English like "when in Rome, do as the Romans do." So I'm not sure like about these sayings and with the terms intercultural understanding. So is there any like where is the balance that we need to maintain our culture as well, but at the same time we need to like embrace others' culture or understanding as well? So is there any advice?
I think the key word is understanding, and you don't need to follow all the cultural aspects of the other, but understanding and identifying those differences and talking about those differences is what makes intercultural communication, I believe. I mean, for example, in the example that you were giving us, that they ask you to shake hands to the person, and you were really like, I don't want to do it, but I have to do it, but I don't want to do it. So in that case, probably in advance, the person who was organizing this, or probably may talk to you, or maybe talk to the other person and said, well, look, this is a situation, there is going to be a situation in which Fatima is going to receive a prize, but because of her beliefs, it could be better to do this or to do this instead of shaking hands, because that will be not appropriate for beliefs, for her beliefs. So that understanding in advance, it's something that we have to create. That is part of that in real life, in reality, that is in the intercultural communication. Do you see? They will respect you, and you will respect by receiving the prize and just doing something else to say thank you for this, or I'm really happy that you are giving me this, thanks for that. So that part is a key. That's what I believe. It's key in the process of increasing intercultural communication. It doesn't mean that you have to do everything from the other culture, but creating this communication, or to finding now this balance with the person you are talking with, or that you are interacting, and creating agreement, or creating accommodation to communicate.
Mutual understanding.
That's what it means, intercultural communication, understanding. That's what I can say. Yes.
Yes.
Thank
you very much.
Thank you. So we have another question in the chat box from Mr. Sonam Zangpo Sherpa. Sorry to pronounce it. Okay. The question is that should intercultural communication become a required part of EFL instruction? I am asking this because English curriculum here in Bhutan is textbook oriented and without any explicit place for IC. So what place has Mexican EFL curriculum given to IC?
Well, I am one of the followers of this idea that the intercultural communication needs to be, let's say, part of the curriculum. And for example, when I studied English as a foreign language here in Mexico, all the books that I used, or the books or the materials that were in the curriculum, and everything in the curriculum, I remember, were just by using books where they had names of American people, just American people, names of American people, and or activities that were related to cultural aspects of America, which was, I'm not saying that that's bad. I'm saying that the thing is that all the book was created, or all the whole curriculum was created based on those cultural aspects of the language. I'm not saying that it's bad, but what I am saying is that my culture was not reflected, or the Mexican culture was not reflected in those materials. And in that way, it was not really significant to my knowledge, to the learning of the language in myself, because I was not was not, let's say, motivated for aspects of culture that were proper of my culture. So I was learning English with the culture of someone else. And what I believe is that we need to include at least the culture of the context where students are learning the language. In this case, English. In Mexico, there are some efforts to try to include cultural aspects, not only from the Mexican culture, but from other cultures around the world. There is a little writing I did, and that was published, in which I explained that still in Mexico there are some well, we lack of this intercultural communication reflected in the curriculum, and I strongly believe that we need to do something in order to be more proactive in including by including these intercultural aspects in the curriculums. And in that way, as I was telling you, we can help our students to open their minds and to have a let's say more wide view of how intercultural communication may take place in real life. Thank you. I don't know if that answers your question.
Okay, thank you. So we have another interesting question from the chat box from Mr. Thani Kiatong. Okay, the question is that will we have got a transculturalizing like translanguaging in the future, sir?
Well, I think that there are some people who are doing research about it. There is people who are working on this idea of transcultural communication, and of course all this interaction that is happening in the world through English will take us to at some point to interact with different cultures, and now with this globalized world where we are, I'm sure that all these things are going to be mixing all together, and something is going to happen, or these kind of concepts of transcultural communication or translanguaging may happen at some point, and probably that will be the birth of a new language. I don't know, but that those things may happen in a very diverse in the very diverse linguistic world where we live. That is not far from a possibility to happen. Yes.
Okay, I think now we are running out of time, so it's time for the end. Now I am sending you the forms. Okay, wait. So finally, as I said at the beginning, that you have 2 forms to complete before leaving. So please complete the evaluation form first, which I already posted in the chat box, and then you must to fill the first section first. Okay, have you got the form now? Okay,
Not yet, ka.
not yet. Okay. Yes.
Yeah, got it now.
Okay.
Ajahn Faiza have already sent it.
Okay. And may I share you the? Okay. Yes, in the evaluation form, you will see the first section. Okay. That the questions asked, you need to
Can you
fill.
share the screen, Ajahn Vimalrat? Can you share
Yes,
the
I
screen?
am going to share the screen, but
I am,
Mr. Armando, please,
yes,
yes,
I would like to stop.
yes, could you please,
And
yes,
then
so
you
that
can
I
do it.
can share mine.
Sorry
Okay,
about that.
yes, no problem. Okay. This is the example of the evaluation form. Okay. And the first part, this is very important. Everybody please choose the name of Dr. Yusuf. Okay. Wait. Okay, here, Dr. Yusuf. And then you can follow to fill the form until the end. Okay. Any question regarding the form? You can ask me, okay? Okay.
So we can keep participants about 2 minutes maybe to complete this form.
Yes.
And after that, we can send them another form, the form for collecting the certificate.
Because after you finish the first form, the evaluation form, you will have another certification form. It's a link at the end. We will post it for you. Okay, and after you finish the certification form, your certificate will automatically be sent to your email. Okay. Yes. So